Is there a strategy that'll help you grow your company faster? CEO Sales Strategies is an investigative business podcast for entrepreneurial people who never stop asking questions. Highly acclaimed sales revenue growth expert Doug C. Brown interviews CEOs, business owners, and professionals who serve them to uncover and share actionable tips and methods behind their bulletproof sales strategies. Topics covered on the show include their failures, struggles, secrets, and processes that help them succeed in selling millions to billions of dollars of their products and services, all with the sole aim of helping you grow your business. If you are eager to know the most effective sales secrets from the A players of the game, then the CEO Sales Strategies podcast is certainly the place to be.
Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Once again, coming to you with another solo episode. Oh, lucky. You get to listen to me for a while. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. This show is all about how do you increase your revenues and how do you increase the profitability of your company. And one of the things that people don't think about very much is their communication. What does that mean? Think about it, your external and internal communication. Everything that you do in communication is a message. And when you're talking about external communication, which I'm going to focus on mostly here, what will happen is you're sending messages out or you're doing something that's creating a message. And that message impacts the number of sales that you will actually get. Now, you might hear me talk about some companies here and it will be like, oh, Doug's beating up on these companies. And the truth being told, I am. And there is a reason for it, because these companies are making gross errors in their communications. Remember, you want to increase meaningful communication with your clientele, meaningful communication with your potential buyers, because they want value added. And let me give you a couple of examples of just crazy stuff that just happened to me just recently. They're not huge sales, but this is stuff that's happened in my personal life. So for example, I'm at a place and I'm like, you know what? I want to learn how to play a new musical instrument. So I said, well, what's the hardest musical instrument probably out there? Well, let's try to play the flute, right? So I decided I'm going to try to play the flute. And so I did my research. I called some companies and I called one called Music and Arts. And I called and I talked to this lady, nice gal, her name was Emily. And I said, Emily, I'm at this age here. I'm 59 years old. I've studied music in the past. I don't want a really bad, start out flute. I want something kind of in the middle because I think I'm going to stay with this. So lovely conversation, right? We talked, everything was going good. And she said to me, well, I don't know if I have a music teacher for you, but I'll get back to you. And then you could either rent this flute or buy this flute. Now, what was the cost of the flute? Somewhere around $1,000, right? So there are flutes that are far more than that. There are flutes far less than that. But I want you to keep this in your mind, $1,000. Why am I asking you to keep this in mind? We're going to monetize this. So Emily tells me she's going to call me back. Now, Emily doesn't call me back. So the next day I decide I'm going to go to this music store and I'm going to talk with them and figure out what happened, right? So Emily has zero follow-up so far. What is follow-up? Communication. Follow-up is a meaning. It gives you a feeling. It's either value add or value nothing, right? In other words, if you don't follow up, confidence drops, rapport drops, trust drops, all kinds of things start happening. And in my head, I'm like, well, should I be going to this music store or not? She didn't get back to me. And so I go into the store and I say, hey, I'm looking for Emily. And they're like, oh, she's not working today. It's her day off. I said, okay, well, here's the deal. I just drove 30 minutes to get here and I want to buy a flute and I want to get, music lessons going. The lady behind the counter said to me, hey, guess what? I can't help you. Emily's the only person who can help you with flutes. I want to buy a flute. And sorry, I'm sorry she's not here, but I'll have her give you a call back. Would that be okay? I'm like, not really. I'm here to spend $1,000 on a flute plus flute lessons, which are only $30 a piece. But if you figure $30 times 50 weeks, there's $1,500. This is a $2,500 sale. So I say, whatever, have her call me. Guess what? Following day, no call. Can you see how meaningful communication? What is the message they're sending to me? The message is they don't care. But since I do this for a living, I'm like, I got to figure out what's going on. So I call her again. And by the way, that happened today. And I said, hey, you didn't get back to me. I didn't have this going on. I didn't have that going on. Your people were saying, they can't help me. And frankly, I don't feel like anybody cares about me. And she literally said this to me. No, we care about you. The big challenge is we just don't have any flutes in stock. Whoa. Okay. So what's the message now? The message is, do you have money? Are you going to be around? Should I invest with this particular process? What is going on? We had no follow-up. We had poor communication. We had extremely poor ways of answering the telephone. And guess what? That's a $2,500 sale that's going to a competitor. Now, let's just say it's only happening twice a week. That's $5,000 a week times 50 weeks is $250,000 in lost revenue. Never mind the expansion that could happen from that sale, referrals, things of that nature, right? Can you start to see how this would add up? Increasing your meaningful communication means that you show to your client or your potential buyer that you care about them, that they're going to get the information. They can trust you. So your messaging that's going out, whether it is on a billboard or whether the message is on a radio ad or the message is on a sales call that's going out, needs to be uniformed, needs to be all in one place, and it needs to have a single focus message, which is don't differentiate yourself, be different. In other words, positively be different. Because all it took was somebody to make a phone call to me and I would have had a $2,500 sale on the table. Never mind the years. Remember, we talk at times about increasing buying frequency. Never mind. What if I stayed there for 3 years, right? Having flute lessons. I would have upgraded the flute and probably spent $5,000 on a new flute. And I would have stayed there for, years at $1,500 per lesson, calendar year, right? Can you see how this adds up? So what's the point? The point being is pay attention to the meaningful communication that's going external. Now we'll do another episode on internal because internal will implode things within the company. But the bottom line, you got to get the meaningful communication going right because that is the message. And guess what? What are people thinking of? They're thinking of you as a brand. I'll give you another example. I called an insurance company the other night. We all know it. The name is Geico. I don't think they'll sue me because this is a true story. I called Geico. Guess what? I was on hold for 52 minutes before somebody picked up the phone. Now, this wasn't the first time this happened. This was the second time it happened. And I was on for an hour the first time. Thought my problem was resolved. And then the second time I thought my problem was resolved. But guess what? It wasn't. So think about this for a second. What message is that insurance company sending out to their client? They're sending out saying, oh, well, we don't care enough about your time and we don't value you enough in order to actually put adequate staff on. Now, we are in 2021 and these companies are out there saying, oh, it's COVID-19. The pandemic is the reason. We have people working from home, et cetera, et cetera. Wait a minute. If you have people working from home or people that were working at the office, isn't that the same amount of people? What happened? You used to answer the phone very quickly. Now you don't answer the phone very quickly. Is it possible that you use the pandemic as a potential to increase your profitability by cutting a headcount? Now it's not just Geico, right? I called the utility company. Now the utility company traditionally doesn't care because you only got one or two choices, right? Usually with your utility company. But I've called auto dealerships. I have called different places or software companies, and they put you on hold forever. Well, guess what? How does that translate into a loss in sales? People get frustrated, they leave. So now you're getting churn, and churn is expensive, especially when you had a loyal client. Like for Geico, I've been there for 19 years. You would think they, as somebody who's been with an insurance company, which traditionally is high turnover over and over and over, one company to another company to another company, you would think they would flag my phone number. Wow, this guy's been here for 19 years, has his business here, he has his personal here, he has his auto here, he has everything there, right? You would think that they would flag and say, this is a VIP client. He's been here for 19 years, but I'm not treated that way. So now I'm starting to shop insurance. Why? Because Geico's not the cheapest insurance policy out there. And quite frankly, I don't know what is a good insurance company and what's not, but I'm investigating. So churn will happen without meaningful communication. So how can you do this like real quickly and real easily? Take a look at what's being said. Let's go from the way that you answer your phone. Let's say that somebody calls in and they get somebody live and somebody doesn't have the answers to their questions, but they don't want to admit it. So what they do is they become evasive. What happens? So let's go to let's go to a dentist, right? A dentist, let's say they're making $2,400, on that patient, right? If that dental office picks up the phone and somebody calls in and says, hey, I have a toothache and it's screaming and it's killing me, and I just need to get my tooth taken care of. And that person on the other end, which by the way, this is another true story that I had for one of my clients who actually called and had a dental emergency in their mind because they were in pain. The person on the phone said, I'm sorry, doctor, I won't name the doctor, cannot see you for 2 weeks. It was a he in this case, is completely booked. What? Not only do they lose that potential for that new business, but that person now is gone to a new dentist and they lost all of that goodwill and future purchases from that particular person. Not only did they do that, but they also told 12 to 15 of their friends what happened with this particular dentist. So now you've got barriers of entry because trust is built with the friend, and now they're losing potential clients. Now, this is a small community. So here's the bottom line. That dentist easily could have picked up 3 to 5 of those people. So think about this. If a dentist gets $2,400 or $2,500 again and loses 5 clients in a week, and this just happens once a week, that is a loss of 25 times 5 or 24 times 5 times 50, right? From the way you answer your phone. So is your front people answering your phone in a manner which is rapport building and conveying a clear message that you are a valuable call and I'm here to help you? Now, if you don't know the answer to the question, do an assessment, figure it out. I've done this. I went one time to buy all new computer equipment for my company. It was going to cost me somewhere around $30,000. I knew that going in front, and I said, "That's okay. I'm gonna do this. We need new computers." I call up a place, and it was an Apple store, not an Apple store, but an Apple authorized Apple reseller for Apple. And I said, "Hey, my name's Doug," and he answered the phone literally like this. Hello, right? Like he didn't have any presence whatsoever. So no one trained him on how to answer this phone. Hello. And I'm like, you okay? And he goes, maybe. Literally what he said. I was like, maybe. Listen, are you, I won't name the store, ABC, computer reseller? And he goes, yep, that's what we are. And I'm like, is there a problem? Right? Hear what is going on. All of a sudden, now I'm on the defensive because of the way they answered this phone. And he said, no, there's no problem here. I said, well, are you the reseller for Apple computers? He goes, that depends. Right? Here's the point. I said, depends on what? He said, depends on what you're looking for. Okay, sales over right then and there. Rapport's broken. There's no way I'm putting my trust and faith in this. Is the kind of service I'm getting on the front end? And the meaningful communication is, I really don't care about you or your business. Guess what? They lose sales. Now, think about this. If this happened once a week and they're a $30,000 sale, it's $1.5 million out the door. So what do you got to sell to make up $1.5 million in sales that are lost, right? Meaningful communication means you are delivering a message. And the more you increase that meaningful communication, the more that people will bond with you. So your messaging, the things you say, people will say, what's your unique selling proposition? What you say matters. What you put in print matters. The messages that you're sending out matters because it's positioning. Are you positioning as an expert and somebody who really wants and really cares about the client? Or are you sending out meaningful communication that says, you're average, don't really care? Look at your meaningful communication. What are your follow-up processes? Are you even doing follow-up? Because if you look statistically, half the people selling don't follow up ever once. And this is on an incoming lead. An incoming lead comes in, no follow-up. What does that tell you as the buyer? Okay, these people are not reliable. How costly could this be? I was on a sales consulting call. I was invited to listen to the sales consulting call to kind of evaluate, did they know how to sell? And the sales consultants got on the call, and one lady came on the call and she said, I got something bad to say. What was that? Well, I just lost the sale. How long you been working on the sale? Well, I've been in contact with them for 7 months. Well, you've been in contact with them for 7 months. What's the problem? I didn't follow up with them for 5 months. She followed up for the first month, the second month, and then forgot. Well, guess what? The client wanted to buy. So they tried to get a hold of her, but they couldn't. So they found another distributor of that program, that product, and they bought off that other distributor. Here's the crazy part. The commission to the salesperson alone was $250,000 per year. And the average lifetime value of that client renewing on average is 5 years. $1.25 million in commission gone for the person selling. But let's think about it from a company perspective. What do you got to sell to make up $1.25 million, right? And would that be helpful? I mean, if you're on let's just say a 10% net, and you could do the numbers, it's somewhere around $22-23 million you got to sell in order to make up for that. But guess what? When you don't sell it originally, and you got to make up for that, you still have a cost to sale every single sale. So you're going to have to sell far more than the $22.5 million or whatever the number is because of follow-up. Did you know that the average company does not follow up with their people more than once a year, ever? The average company, how do I know this? I've surveyed companies over and over and over again. I used to do live events and I would survey them and I'd say, how many ways do you have to follow up with people? The average, 2. How many times do you follow up with people? The average, 1. Now, this was across 10,000 different people. So when you look at follow-up, it is a key component to your meaningful communications. Your messages are key components. Do your messages make people go, wow, I want to hear more about that? Or, so what? Because so what conveys a emotion to them, or they are a feeling and they get an emotion. And then if it's like, I don't care, great, they're out and you lose the sale. So everything you do is about positioning, and everything you do about increasing meaningful communication is increasing the positioning and the alignment of who could buy, who could not buy, who would refer to you, who would not refer to you, who would leave your company as a client, who will stay as your company. Follow-up is very important. The way you answer the phone is very important. Your messages you're sending out, whether it is in print, online, or anything you do, is extremely important. Well, that's it for this solo episode of the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. The message being, increase your meaningful communication and it'll bring you more sales, save you from losing clients, save you from losing sales, and a whole bad bunch of stuff that wouldn't happen if you just put a little bit of time and energy and effort into that. I'm Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategy podcast. Go out, make it a great day, sell some stuff, serve people, play win-win. And if you like this episode, please go up and give it a 5-star review. I would very much appreciate it. Tell your friends about this. Spread the word if you would. If you like these podcasts, if you have ideas for podcasts that you would like a certain subject matter, please get a hold of me at doug@businesssuccessfactors.com or dougbrown1234 at my LinkedIn address, or even the phone number 603-595-0303 is the company phone number. And if you're looking for somebody to advise you, to coach you, maybe even consult with your company and help you figure out what's going on with your company, whether you're, in your heart, it's like, I know I can do better, but the company can do better on sales. I know that, I'm just not really sure what it is, or I know what it is, but you feel in your heart, listen, I know we could do better, or my sales team could do better, or we could increase our profitability. And again, maybe you know, maybe you don't. Look me up. I'll help you get that additional funds coming into your company. Again, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Go out, make it a great day, sell something, and to your success.